Twombly. I'm a senior in filming studying CS and IDS, that's computer science and information data science. I'm also the current ASCII president, so we've been in touch with Caltech Y, and it's been a great experience to be able to actually work with them and take part in the resources.
I'm Hope. I'm a senior electrical engineering major. I'm from Los Angeles, and I'm on the women's basketball team. It's a fun fact.
Like Greg said, is to really get in touch with your roots and explore your heritage. And so I'm from Miami, Florida. I'm Hispanic, and I definitely look Hispanic, but my last name is Twombly, and a lot of my friends and the people I know, they call me by my last name. And so being able to learn about where that name came from, the history behind it, get in touch with that was something that I've always been looking for an opportunity to do. And I think Hope is much the same. We grew up in like Southern California and Southern Florida, right? It's very specific to a certain culture. And so this was an opportunity to explore and be proud of the other part of our culture.
So first we were in Edinburgh. Honestly, so this was my first time out of the country, so it was a really cool experience to kind of see like not the US. So immediately in Edinburgh, it's about 500,000 people, so it is a kind of a city atmosphere, but not as crowded as LA or New York. So it was very beautiful architecture. I immediately noticed that. We took public transportation, which was very new for me as well. I grew up in LA, so it was very nice, and it was very, very punctual, very clean, very convenient. So that was great. And just walking around the streets, there were people, bagpipers playing. So that was also something you would never see here in the U.S. And which we'll actually get back to later. But in Edinburgh, we just kind of spent the time walking around. We took a walking tour to get some of the history of the city and of Scotland, which was very cool to kind of hear about. And then basically this trip, you'll see us, we were jumping around to a lot of different cities. We tried to maximize our time. So then we went up north, roughly around the Fife area, and this was to see the Arnott Tower. So my last name is Arnett, so that's kind of my family clan. So I was aware that there was a tower for that clan, so we went and visited, which was really, really cool to see. Unfortunately, we didn't get to talk to anyone there about if they were from the family line as well. But it was very, very cool.
We may or may not have opened a gate or two.
Picture.
I think for the picture. And so this was like kind of trying to explore like a place for our families. I tried to look some up for the Twombly or the Young clan is what we descended from. But unfortunately, we were a bit of a rambunctious clan, and so we made a lot of enemies, and that meant that our castle or abbey blew up.
South to Glasgow. Just an interesting observation. Edinburgh was definitely more of like the old European architecture style that you might imagine for a European city. But Glasgow was very interesting, and it was a mix of that as well as kind of like a modern look. So I thought that was an interesting observation for myself as, okay, not all European cities look like Edinburgh. But as we were walking around, we planned on going to the National Piping Center, and we were able to go to one of their open door tours. So this young man here is someone who's been taking lessons for bagpiping for the past 10 years. He's competed in many competitions internationally. Many countries have their own bagpiping teams, apparently, and so he's been able to meet people all over the world. Apparently there's a very famous competition in Kansas City, so someone in Kansas really likes bagpiping. So we were able to learn a lot from him and what it's like, playing, and he was very interested, or has always been interested in how bagpipes are made and the history of their evolution, and just like the cultural ties to bagpipes in Scotland. So we learned a lot about that, and then we were able to, as you can see, play and try the bagpipes, which is very, very cool. He taught us a little 3-note version of We Will Rock You. So that was very fun.
Yeah, you see there's no videos up there.
It's very loud and high-pitched.
Right after that is we went to the Gaelic Games. So this is an experience that it's like, think of like a community center that hosts sports games for kids. Very, very important in Ireland. They take their hurling very seriously. They also take their rugby very seriously. And so basically what we got to do is they took us through, you know, what was the history of the sport. Every culture has like a stick and ball game. And this was not only something used to entertain, but also as defense, you know, in war, in battles, and even when they were having issues with the English, they were still allowed to play some of these games to keep their culture strong. And so it's like one of the only things they were allowed to keep in terms of culture. So very, very strong presence. In fact, you play only for your county. So you can't like, it's an amateur sport, you can't play for money. And people are very proud to represent their county. You can't like switch counties, so they'll go and they'll play against each other. And even while we were there, you could see like the kids coming onto the field and they were practicing. They had a game playing across the street. So it's definitely like the backbone of their community. You know, it's not just the sport that they come in and play, it's not just a field, a facility that they use. It's really like they find their community, they find a family there. And so you find them all over in different neighborhoods. That was really amazing. Because I feel like we don't necessarily have that here. I think like the closest thing we have is college football maybe. So yeah, it was great to learn about it. I can't say I'm great at it, but
what was the name?
We did some Irish dancing lessons. And so we unfortunately did not do this type of Irish dancing because I unfortunately didn't think I'd be that good at it. But, they taught us some popular styles of kind of like party dancing technically, so something you can do with a large group. And so a lot of two-steps.
Yeah, you're like in a big group, like holding hands, and there are like two circles, and you kind of like step in, step out, go around, and all that.
So it was great. They played live music, so amazing to hear some of like the popular tunes, stuff that we can save and again share with our families. And so we learned that, and I guess I could try and bring that to Caltech, but I don't know if they'd enjoy it at an inner house, we'll see. And so after we completely well-rounded, I cannot thank the Hastrup family enough, I can't thank the Caltech Y community enough. I definitely wouldn't have had this opportunity had it not been through your organization, through the family. I think I read about Gunia, and she was truly amazing, her love for her country and for the students. And so when we heard about the opportunity, we immediately jumped on it, and we wanted to make sure we did her proud. So we got to learn about our roots. My family's super excited to learn about it. I have tons of things I can bring back and share with them. And so I'm just proud to be able to tell people now where my last name is from when they ask me, and that even though I don't look it, I am a proud Irish and Scottish individual.
Yeah, so thank you once again for your guys' support. It was definitely a wonderful trip and memorable for sure.